We are winning. We're winning decisively, with ruthless precision, overwhelming air superiority, and an unshakable determination to fulfill the President's objectives. We remain locked on target, because here at the Department of War, that is our mission. God bless our troops and this operation. After negotiations collapsed, 3,000 elite Delta Force operators infiltrated the Iranian coastline under the cover of darkness, tasked with eliminating the primary IRGC command center responsible for orchestrating repeated closures and mine attacks across the strait. This was not a conventional assault. It was a high-risk, deep penetration raid, far behind enemy lines, engineered to decapitate the command structure and finally cripple Iran's ability to threaten this critical waterway. The preparation had begun hours earlier at a classified forward operating base. The 3,000 Delta operators moved through the staging area with the quiet intensity that defines their unit. Each man carefully assembled his specialized loadout: suppressed weapons, night vision optics, breaching charges, medical kits, extra ammunition, hydration supplies, flex cuffs, and lightweight demolition gear. Every piece of equipment was checked and double-checked. Rifles were fitted with suppressors and calibrated optics for close-quarters combat. Body armor was adjusted for maximum mobility without sacrificing protection. Helmets secured, communication systems tested, night vision devices activated and fine-tuned in complete darkness. Nothing was left to chance. They knew the reality. They were going in light, fast, and deep, with no conventional support once they crossed enemy territory. Platoon leaders conducted final mission walkthroughs using large digital maps. They studied the IRGC command center layout in detail: underground bunkers, perimeter defenses, communication networks, and extraction routes. Each operator memorized his role with precision. Who would breach the perimeter? Who would clear structures? Who would secure high-value targets? And who would demolish critical infrastructure? The briefing was calm, clinical, and direct. No speeches, no emotion, only clear instructions. Objective: destroy the command center, neutralize key personnel if encountered, and extract before reinforcements arrive. Once preparations were complete, the 3,000 operators formed into compact assault teams and advanced toward the waiting MH-47 Chinook and MH-60 Black Hawk helicopters. They boarded in silence, locking in gear and taking positions inside the aircraft. Pilots ran final checks: engines, navigation systems, weapon stations, and secure communications with the offshore carrier group. The rotors began to spin, building into a deep, thunderous rhythm as the helicopters lifted off from the deck of the USS Abraham Lincoln and its supporting fleet. The formation pushed toward the Iranian coastline, flying low over open water to avoid detection. The flight was long and tense. Inside the aircraft, most operators remained silent, mentally rehearsing every step. Some performed final weapon checks. Others closed their eyes, conserving energy for what lay ahead. Pilots maintained constant communication with the carrier, receiving real-time intelligence on enemy activity along the coast. Below them, the terrain shifted, from endless sea to rugged shoreline, then into dark, unforgiving terrain surrounding the objective. The helicopters descended toward a remote landing zone just miles from the target. They touched down smoothly in a narrow clearing surrounded by jagged rock and sparse vegetation. Doors opened instantly. The 3,000 Delta operators surged out in fast, coordinated waves, spreading into defensive positions and scanning for threats. The night remained still, broken only by the fading sound of departing helicopters lifting back into holding patterns. The assault began the moment the perimeter was secured. Teams advanced through the terrain in disciplined formations, using shadows and natural cover. Every movement was calculated, every step silent. Enemy guards were identified and eliminated with suppressed fire, swift, efficient, and undetected. No alarms triggered. The teams reached the outer perimeter fence, cut through it with precision tools, and slipped inside undetected. They moved like ghosts. Rooms and corridors were cleared methodically. Doors breached with controlled force. Weapons up. Corners checked. Every angle covered. Tension was high, but their training never faltered. When they reached the central command bunker, They breached the reinforced entrance and entered with explosive speed. IRGC personnel inside were overwhelmed and neutralized within seconds. Communication systems were destroyed using demolition charges. Servers were wiped or physically obliterated. Data storage units smashed beyond recovery. The operation unfolded with remarkable speed and discipline. Within minutes, the core of the IRGC command center was under control. Operators secured the site, gathered critical intelligence, and prepared for immediate extraction. Mission success. The nerve center behind the maritime disruption campaign had been eliminated from within. As teams withdrew toward the extraction zone, the first signs of enemy response emerged: distant sirens, moving lights across the horizon. The operators maintained strict silence and continued their retreat. Moments later, the helicopters returned. Ramps dropped as Delta Force teams sprinted aboard, securing the perimeter until every last operator was inside. The aircraft lifted immediately, accelerating into forward flight and disappearing into the night sky. Back at the forward base, confirmation came through. The IRGC command center responsible for orchestrating attacks in the Strait of Hormuz had been neutralized. The leadership behind the maritime sabotage network had suffered a devastating blow. The strait was not fully secure yet, but this operation removed one of the most critical threats. Pressure on Iran intensified. Oil tankers once held back were now preparing to re-enter the waterway under U.S. protection. The 3,000 Delta Force operators returned without ceremony. No celebration, no noise. Only the quiet acknowledgement of professionals who had executed a near-perfect mission. Their actions struck deep into the enemy's command structure and pushed the long conflict over the strait one decisive step closer to resolution. The waters of Hormuz are beginning to open once again. The final battle is still underway, but the balance has shifted. American Special Operations Forces have once again demonstrated their reach. Anywhere, anytime, against those who threaten freedom of navigation.